always football time. This is what makes our heart beat.
Welcome back to the Football Tragics. I'm your host, Aaron. I'm joined here by Tony and Morty.
Hey.
We are Campo Leicester today. Probably the worst week for me, Campo Leicester, to be honest, because it's an interesting result that we'll obviously get into at the very end of the pod. But yeah, this is Matchday 1's review. Probably one of the better opening rounds I can remember in a good while. Some absolute cracker games, some cracker goals, some upsets. But we're going to kick straight off. First game, Brentford Arsenal. 2-0 Brentford. Who saw this one coming?
Well, I mean,
did we trust it?
It wasn't a shock.
No.
It wasn't a shock by the least, but I mean, I did think Arsenal were going to get up, but I'm also not shocked that we've come in and seen this result. So
I suppose in a way we all kind of, we thought, this is going to happen. You know, this is just going to be a prime example. I think I said it last week. I said Brentford's going to win one of those games this season, and it'll probably be that first week. I did tip Arsenal. I thought they'd have enough to get over the line, but yeah, Brentford 2-0, and there were some quality goals as well. I'm just going to read off. So it was Sergio Canas early, 22 minutes in. This goal here was very poor by Arsenal. Had a chance to clear the ball, didn't. Sergio Canas gets it, whips it, bends at bottom corner. What a start for Brentford. At home, the atmosphere was absolutely unreal. Fans back in the stadium. Crazy scenes. What did you think of it, Morty?
Well, I did call that Ben White was going to start getting roasted off the bat, and it happened.
Yep.
It's a very Arsenal thing to do. Let's be real here.
I think
we
that
all thought it was coming. No one had faith it was coming, but
I don't know if he's before. I think it was the 30th minute. I think it was named Mboy, who had a good chance. Absolutely roasted Ben White. He just stood there like a bloody traffic cone. And if you're paying $50 million for that, that's worrying signs for Arsenal ahead, I think. And I think Arteta's got a lot to answer for. Obviously, he was without Aubameyang and Lacazette, which I don't think he was too pleased about. Kind of made that known in the post-game press conference. You know, they were apparently ill, but who actually knows when you say that, ill? It's hard to tell.
They actually want to play for him.
It's definitely an interesting one at the moment. Obviously, take it with a grain of salt, but the reports have come out from Spain that there could be a potential move for both of them or one of them this year. So is it they're ill, and obviously we'll get into it later, or are they doing a Harry Kane right now?
Well, man, it's safe to say that Aubameyang didn't turn up last year in the slightest. He had a very poor year by his standards. So, look, I don't want to say he's gone, but I don't think he'd be the biggest loss. I think Lacazette would be probably a bigger loss, to be honest with you. I think Lacazette fits that style that they play a little bit better anyway. Aubameyang basically plays on the wing anyway for them.
But that's probably the problem why he wants out. He wants to be that main striker, and throwing him out wide for Lacazette is like a downgrade for him. So
yeah, that's the problem, I suppose. They try to fit them both in, but you can see, I think Aubameyang does work a lot better through the middle. And they've got players like Saka coming through. They've got Pepe on the wing. Like, they don't really need Aubameyang on the wing at all. No. I think it's one of those ones where,
obviously...
Sorry, you go, Tony.
I was going to say, obviously, it's interesting. There's going to be, there's already questions being asked about the squad, about Arteta. They don't have the easiest schedule coming up. They've got, I think it's Chelsea next week, followed by Man City. Like, we've already seen there's fans back in the stadium. Arsenal fan TV is already going off their heads. Like, how long does he have, honestly? How long does he have?
Was it a cracker this week? I haven't seen any of the clips, to be honest with you.
Oh, some of them were quite entertaining.
I think it was Troops was at a bar, and I think he went for, or Toops, whatever his name is, went for about 2 minutes straight of just every time you thought he was done, he called Arteta every name under the sun.
Nice. Yeah. Love that. Yeah, as you said, like they've got some tough games coming up. Chelsea, then City. If they start their season 0-3, that puts them in deep trouble already. I mean, I know the tough games, but 0-3, that's relegation battle already. You know,
their only saving grace would be Norwich after that. But even
the way this game went, you see them even beating Norwich, you know what I mean? So, I think Arteta's got a lot to answer for, and I think we were saying it off air that we wouldn't be surprised to see Arteta probably the first person gone if it continues this way.
Oh.
But do we take it with a grain of salt because it's the first week and we give them a week off? And who knows, they could come and upset Chelsea. I'm kind of a bit worried at that game, to be honest with you. They could come out and upset us, but who knows?
But in saying that,
I mean, it's always
this has probably been the most complete preseason they've had in a while. This is what they normally should be sitting through. They should be set in stone by now. Yes, they've signed a new centre back recently, but most of this team line should be set up.
Yeah, just back on that Aubameyang, that linked transfer, I believe it's Barcelona who are after him or like that, and they don't have the money to pay for these players. So what they're going to do is offer player swaps, and one of the players they want to offer is Coutinho, who Arsenal don't need. They've got Bukayo Saka, they've got Emil Smith-Rowe, where you wouldn't put Coutinho in that squad. They're after Odegaard as well. Like, there's no point. They need a striker.
But regardless if they need him or not, obviously, if you wanted a striker, you can move Lacazette there. That's not going to be a problem if he's the main striker. I think with a run of games, he can be their striker. But my biggest thing is Arsenal don't give big contracts, and Coutinho's wage isn't cheap.
Can they afford it? Yeah. Yeah, I think.
Not even if they can afford it. Are they going to pay it?
Yeah, I mean, Aubameyang's the highest paid player. I think he's on 300 and something K a week. But I'm pretty sure there's nobody even 50% close to him. I'm pretty sure the next person's on about 150 or so. So, they don't have the wage budget. I think they do. They just don't pay it. That's the thing. They just don't. And that's why they get left behind.
Ozil's off the books now, so there is room for it. But
then they went offered, that was Aubameyang went and got that Ozil contract straight after. And then he performs like Ozil and does nothing. He disappears for however long. So that's what happens. They
get rid of these Arsenal contracts.
They go and play crap football. But we're not going to talk about Arsenal too much because it's 1 week. We can give them a night off, just about. We're going to talk about Tony's boys. 5-1 United over Leeds. Take the reins, Tony. Give us your thoughts.
Obviously, it's always good to win a game. It's always good to beat Leeds. I'll be honest, 35 minutes in, I was a lot more worried than how this game ended up. I think we were having that chat in our messenger and we were saying how good Leeds are actually looking. And then all of a sudden we got that first goal. We kind of took a bit of control over the game. Ayling scored an absolute belter and I went, okay, we're in for a dogfight. And then Leeds fell apart. And I don't think they had a plan B when it ended up going 3-1. That they would just attack, and we just went, okay, no worries. Yeah.
I think it was clear to see that football was well and truly back when we saw Old Trafford, 75,000 people rocking. Brian coming out, they announced it in some style. I can respect that, why they took so long to announce it when they're bringing him out like that. I think that just had a good buzz around the atmosphere. You saw the Fergie's old boys behind the dugouts were back, the four horsemen, they call them. So
I don't know how I feel. I don't think they were behind the dugout. I heard they were down in
they've been moved.
The Stretford end. So I don't really know how I feel about that. I was a bit concerned.
They haven't been 2012, 2013, so it's good to have them back. And
it's good to have them back.
I think just the atmosphere was unbelievable. I think, as I said pre-game, there's probably not a better game you can play to open the season. Both teams look really good to start the season, to start the half. I think Leeds played really good football. Their downfall has always been their defence. They play this murder ball, as they call it, just attack. They don't care about their defence, and it shows. What was it? Bruno opened the scoring. Pogba, first assist of the day. Phenomenal.
Pogba should have opened the scoring, but he didn't. Then he ended up assisting, so I think we can forgive him a little bit.
And then, just after the half, Luke Ayling with an early goal of the season contender. Absolute.
So obviously Ayling knocked it in, and then obviously Greenwood responded. And I think that's when we finally saw how good it was in that game to have fans back. Someone as young as Mason Greenwood spent most of his career behind lockdown, behind closed doors. So to be able to score that goal and hear the 75,000 cheering his name, it's going to be a big moment for him moving forward.
Yeah, well, that's it. For a lot of these youngsters, this is their first season in front of fans because they did play last season behind closed doors, majority of the season, or maximum 2,000 fans or however many they're allowed. But I think United just showed their class. It was 10 minutes of just pure dominance straight after they conceded the goal, straight back at them, and they're up 3-1, 4-1 within a matter of 10 minutes after the half. So I think that just showed United's class, and that's without, Cavani, Golden Boot winner Martial, of course. Who else was? Obviously, Varane was missing. Sancho was still on the
Obviously, we had we had Varane on the bench. Rashford's off with surgery. We had Martial on the bench. He only played about 15-20. Sancho 15-20. If you want to throw Lingard into the mix, he was missing too. And obviously Cavani, who's
not United Lingard, maybe West Ham Lingard.
I'm pretty sure he's West Ham Lingard, just played a United shirt at the moment, so we'll chuck him in there. But no, it was good to see. Donny van de Beek, who I thought was going to get the start, he had a great preseason. But obviously he went with McFred, and I mean, Ole lived by his sword, and it worked.
Yeah, well, I think as I said, the Clark was just too strong, and Leeds couldn't handle it. I think that is Leeds in a nutshell. They don't have a plan B. They refuse to have a plan B. And yes, it wins some games, but it also loses some games. Exhibit A. More, did you have anything to add for that game?
Just Van der Beek. I don't know why he's even signed him. To be real, like he sits there, he does nothing. He can't get on the pitch, and
you've got to feel for him.
Kick up the arse for Pogba.
Got to feel for him.
Maybe, but
I mean, it's kind of questionable. I mean, obviously you have to have players that are good off your bench. Obviously, he hasn't had his time, but I don't think this was the game where we needed another attacking midfielder. We needed those two City midfielders to deal with the counter-attack so we could have the likes of Bruno and Pogba move forward. I think McTominay probably played one of the games of his life because he turns into prime Eric Cantona whenever he plays Leeds. So I think it was quite sort of Roy Keane. There was a bit of that in there. He's a bit of mongrel. So, I mean, he'll get his time, especially if Pogba moves on at the end of the year. We're not sure what's going on there. But if he does, that's what Donny's there for.
Yeah, well, I will obviously add that this was Pogba 4 assists this game. Bruno got a hat-trick. Bruno ended up being your player of the week. My player of the week was Pogba. It's just absolute quality. And if Pogba can keep up that form, I know it's just one game, but if he keeps up that for the season, that's him. Like, that's him showing his France form. And it'll be exciting for United to watch, and it will show that you mean business and obviously title contenders. So, yeah, it was a very interesting game. Sancho got a couple minutes off the bench. Couldn't really get into the game just because I think the game at that point was done. But it's good to get him minutes, and he might start next week. But Ole, I think, might just go with the same squad because why not?
Oh, I've got a feeling Sancho will start over James, and the rest of the squad will stay the same. I don't think Varane will come in next game. I think he might come off the bench. I don't think he'll start, especially. I mean, that's a big question. You've got him coming in, but I'd argue Lindelof probably played one of the games of his life at United.
He's under threat. Same as Phil Jones. Didn't want to give up his number 4.
Yeah, he can't be. You've seen Lindelof. Lindelof's had enough time. He shows he's still got that error in him. So Varane's there for a reason. I think he would go straight in there.
Yeah. I mean, hey, give it 2 or 3 weeks. He probably takes that spot. But for some reason, I don't think it's going to be this weekend. Especially not taking anything away, but I don't think it'll be against Southampton. They won't feed him in unless he's 100% ready.
Well, we'll move on. Next game was Leicester City taking on Wolverhampton. Jamie Vardy, as he does, scores the only goal of the game. I predicted a stalemate here, and it was close enough. But yeah, Jamie Vardy, what a celebration. I don't know if you probably saw that, the howl. Absolutely. He just loves shithousing it, doesn't he? But I think Wolves had some really good chances here. Adama Traore, 2 or 3 one-on-ones that he put wide, put at keeper. So that's just him in a nutshell. No end product, just pace, just strength. But I think in the end, Leicester probably deserved it given the way the game was going. And they start their season on a good note again, just like they did last year. So, yeah, there's not too much. I don't know if you guys have anything to add for that game, but
just again, Vardy brilliance gets him the win.
We will move forward then. Obviously, we're going to jump into my boys this time. So it's Chelsea taking on Palace, Stamford Bridge, 45,000, 3-0 Chelsea. I did predict it, perfect scoreline. Didn't have any money on it, standard. We kicked it off with Marcus Alonso, top bins free kick. No keeper saving that. Crowd was rocking. Full assist just before the half. Make it 2-0. And then Trevor Chalobah, who I was a little bit surprised to see he started. I know he had a fantastic game in the Super Cup, but there's obviously been talks of him being loaned out. We're still bringing in Koundé and all sorts. But he's taken that chance by the scruff of his neck and scored a thunderbolt into the bottom corner. You can see what it means to him. Been there since the age of 8, I believe. And yeah, 3-0 winners, comfortable result. They didn't look good at all. They couldn't get anything going. They gave the ball away cheaply, Palace. So I think it was just a routine win. So I can't look into it too much on a Chelsea perspective, but it was just a complete performance, I suppose. But yeah, as I said, I think it was nice to see Trevor Chalobah given his chance, continue to give him a chance, and I think it now gives Tuchel a big question mark. Do I spend the money on Koundé, or do I go with the youth that seems to be working? What do you guys think of that transfer?
We'll let Morty, you can go first. You can attack that one.
Well, I don't know how he's got any money left to start with. So
We always have money. We're Russian sugar daddy. You are right.
It is Chelsea. The last 2 years have shown that if they trust their youth, they can perform. So I think they should leave it as is and keep him on. Give him every opportunity to put his foot forward. He hasn't put a foot wrong so far. So stick with it. He looked pretty good, even against Palace.
I want to bring something else. About Chelsea. Man, how the hell did you rob Roma of $40 million? That's the biggest talking point here. Yes, you spent 120 or whatever it was on Lukaku, but how did you get 40 million for Tammy?
Mate, I don't know, but I'll take it every day of the week. Marina, our what do they call, like, sporting director, financial person, she's phenomenal at what she does. She gets people down prices. She somehow gets more money for people that probably don't deserve it. It's crazy. But yeah, as you said, Roma, apparently Mourinho was very persistent on that. Apparently he wanted to up his wages from 4 to 5 million to get the deal over the line. So going to Serie A, does he kill it over there? Probably. I know we've got a buyback clause of 80 million. So look forward to that. 2025, we'll probably sign him back for 80 million. But yeah, I'm not upset about it. I love Tammy as a youth player. He's Chelsea through and through. But at the end of the day, we signed a $100 million man, Lukaku. We can't complain too much, I suppose. So we'll take the 40 million and we'll probably spend that elsewhere, as we do. But we're going to move forward. We've got Watford taking on Villa. And this was the game beforehand that we said this is the game we're not going to watch. Could go either way. It's just, and then it turned out to be one of the games of the round. Watford, the new boys back up. Wow. Put an absolute clinic. First, what was it, half an hour, 40 minutes, 45 minutes? Phenomenal. Emmanuel Dennis, scored the opener 10 minutes in. Great positioning, good finish. Ismail Assar got a bit lucky with his one, but again, 2-0, going to the break 2-0. Then 3-0, the Hernandez bloke, absolute rocket, bottom bins, makes it 3-0. And Villa, who have got so much promise, I know they've lost Grealish, but so much promise surrounding all the new transfers, had to wait a while to get their 1 and 2 goals, and that's the way it finished. What did you make of it, Tony?
Obviously, like we said, it was one of those games where we thought it was going to be a bit of a stalemate. I think we all predicted it was going to take time for Villa to kind of get into that rhythm. Yes, they've signed well with the money, but a team's not going to click off the ground and start running. Watford came up, and as we saw with Brentford, they had a point to prove. They've come back into the Premier League, and I mean, hey, to go up 3-0, obviously throughout the year, it could be a bit troubling that they've conceded those late goals and led a team back into the game. But, I mean, you've got to be happy with 3 points on your return. Yeah.
Morty, what do you got anything to add to that?
Not really. No, Villa sort of clawed its way back at the end, but it was just too little too late. And
yeah, it was.
I don't know, you're still playing Ashley Young in your starting lineup, so there's
Was
not
he
much you can
I think it was smart. Danny Ings taking the penalty. Obviously, it gets your striker off the mark. But
I mean, Southampton is always, he is a penalty taker, I think, at the end of the day. So, but as you said, it gets him off the mark, and it's a confidence thing. The John McGinn goal was really nice to see, but as Morty said, it was too little, too late. And they will be ruined that, because that could be 3 points dropped, because they started how they finished the game. Then could have been an easy 3 points. But good for Watford, good result for them. Again, gives Vicarage Road a bit to cheer about, because who knows how many results they'll pick up. But they look really good. So if they can consistently pull up those performances, getting rid of those late goals, then they could definitely mean business this year as well, and finish 15th or so. But and now we're going to get into Everton Southampton. 3-1 Everton. Southampton took the lead with just a crazy, terrible. What was it? Mason Holgate, I believe, was it? Michael Keane, sorry.
Yes.
Mixture of the both. Not sure what was going on there. Che Adams pounced on it, flicked in Adam Armstrong on his debut, scored, top bins, perfect start for Southampton. But then that's kind of just where they fell apart there. They couldn't hold on to a lead. Richarlison just after the break. I'm not sure what Salisu was doing. Him and McCarthy, a bit of a mix-up there. 1-1, and then Everton just took over. Too comfortable with it. I think Rafa Benitez is starting to get his play style well and equipped with that Everton team. And pretty much the usual scorers, Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, with Decore in there. Just comfortable result, I think, in the end for Everton. Tony, you got anything to add for that?
No, obviously, like we said, that first goal for Southampton, it's not something which is a bit worrying. They didn't really create the goal. I mean, yes, you can say they put pressure on, but a centre-back shouldn't be doing that. If you feel yourself stumble, you put that ball into Rosette if you have to before you turn back to goal and trip over whatever he did. So I think that's a bit worrying that they didn't create too much. But, again, it's hard to read into after one round.
Yeah, well, as you said, it's obviously a benefit they took that chance, but you can't take that chance and then just rely on that one chance all game. Like that, they had a couple sniffs of the cherry and whatnot. I think Tino Livramento, I will give him a shout out because he's a Chelsea boy, basically. He was fantastic.
Everyone is.
Our mate Givo, who obviously was on the pod last year, was a big fan. He was messaging me saying, he was really good at right back. Basically pocketed Richarlison for the majority of the game. But yeah, I think just in the end it was just too comfortable for Everton. I didn't even actually expect Richarlison or Calvert-Lewin to play, so I was a bit surprised to see them in the lineup and then on the score sheet.
Neither did I. Still left him on the bench.
Well, it worked out in the end, but yeah. Anyway, we've got Burnley taking on Brighton. Battle of the Bees. Tarkovsky early, 1-0. Yeah, what was it, 10, 15 minutes later, Ben Mee with basically the exact same chance off a corner, hits the crossbar. And that's basically where they fell apart as well. Neil Maupay off the bench, I think first minute straight away, gets the equaliser. And then McAllister, the one that looks like Messi, but it's not quite as good as Messi from Argentina, gave him the lead. And 2-1, the way it finished, I think Brighton looked quite good. And they're turning their expected goals into goals this season. So congratulate them on that. But again, it's Burnley. It's not, this crazy great team. Burnley, I think, need to be able to see out games a lot better than they did because those two goals were pretty bad to concede. Basically identical to each other. Just run down the wing, cut it back, goal. Morty, I don't know if you watched this game at all, mate. Probably not. But
least favourite team on planet Earth, Burnley are, and it's just good to see them lose. So just not much more I can add.
Yep. We're going to get into your boys obviously now. So we've got Norwich at home to Liverpool, 3-0. What are your thoughts on the game, Morty?
One of our more interesting midfield lineups to start off the game, but it worked to some degree. I think we looked a lot more comfortable when Fabinho came on. Sort of just everyone really clicked in from there and went on. Van Dijk at the back looked solid. No real. In saying that, Norwich didn't put much pressure on at all. I think Alisson crossed the halfway point three times that game. So
that's kind of the game that you want. For a player like Van Dijk coming back from injury, you want him not to be tested for 1 or 2 weeks. Get his feet back. I was surprised to see Matip start. I know you said Gomez would, but what's Matic doing?
I think Matip just had a better pre-season at the moment. He's a quality fullback and centre back. He's just, don't know. We've got plenty of options now, so hopefully they stay fit and we keep plenty of options.
I think obviously the result, it doesn't flatter Liverpool because it's for class, but it's Norwich. Just like it was Palace for Chelsea, it's one of those teams. They didn't really take it 2 years enough. You weren't troubled too much, but it was good to see the scorers. Obviously, Diego Jota getting on the score sheet. His was a pretty, Tim Krul should have done a lot better there. And then Bobby Firmino, again, another, I'd say, defensive error from Norwich, just terrible at the back. And then Mo Salah, that was a phenomenal finish. I'll give credit to him. What was it? Is it 5 years in a row now he scored on the opening day of the season?
Yeah. Since he's come in.
First player to do so.
5-season wonder, it looks like. I suppose it's the same old starters meant to go on. If Mo Salah keeps at that form, then Golden shouts yet again. Who knows? But yeah, 3-0 result, comfortable for you guys. Nothing too much to add. Tony, do you want to mention anything in that game?
Just again, it was one of those games where, like we said, they didn't offer much going forward against Liverpool, but it's the games you've got to win and you've got to put them away because those are the points that you write down at the start of the season. We're taking 3 points from this game, and then the games against the harder teams.
They definitely do. With Norwich, they literally tick it off. That's that game done. They'll do it again for next week. Next time they play Norwich, it's 3 points no matter what. If you don't get 3 points against Norwich, if you're Liverpool, I think how many goals you've scored? Like I think you average 3 or 4 goals per game against them.
I think I read the last 5 games. They've
which is
9 of the last 15. We've scored more than 3.
I think Luis Suarez would have been crying on his phone seeing the result. He used to love Norwich.
I was waiting to see him on the score sheet. Somehow popping back in, scoring a goal, and then going back.
We are trying to run these games off pretty thick and fast because we're trying to keep the pods down to a minimum. That's why we've transitioned from review and preview to now just the review and the preview at a later date. But the Newcastle versus West Ham game's up next. I watched this game. It was a nice 11 o'clock game for us last night, Sunday night. Really messing with the sleeping pattern right before work, but we're in lockdown, so not too bad. Callum Wilson, 5 minutes in, great header. St. Maximin, the joke's there, isn't it? He cooked fried rice, basically, whatever it is. Sold rice at a 3-bedroom house right there. And yeah, that's what was he? $80 million. They're trying to get for him, and he's been looked like an absolute mug. But yeah, Newcastle looked really good. That first half was really good. A few Newcastle people I was speaking to before and after the game were really happy with that opening half. But then they came out second half and it was just non-existent.
All downhill.
Yeah. So it was 1-1. So they went up 2-1 going into the half. So Jacob Murphy just before half time, and then Said Berahino just after the break. Soucek, Mikel Antonio missed a penalty and then score straight after to equal Di Canio's record, 47 not out for West Ham. Not bad for a right back, which they signed him as. But yeah, I think West Ham got into the game as it went on. Second half, got the result, but Newcastle will be really disappointed in front of a St James Park that holds 50,000 diehard fans to put up for one half and that's it, just completely fall apart second half and allow West Ham to get back into the game and grow into the game and basically run away with the game in the end. They wouldn't be happy. And just like Arteta, I don't see how long Steve Bruce has gotten a job, especially if those results keep happening. Because I know I've put them in relegation. A couple of you boys also had them relegated, did you? I think
me and you had them in relegation.
Yeah, so
15th or 16th, so still close enough.
Yeah, another long season for them. Yeah, which does bring us into the final game, and it's really unfortunate that Campo is not here because he'd have a lot to say. We got a couple of words from him. I had to ask him what his thoughts of the game was, but as it reads there, Spurs 1-0 over Man City. Probably the only person who would predict this game. Tony said it. He said you have to be a Spurs fan or basically clueless to predict Spurs get the win here, but they seem to be Pep's bogey team, especially at not White Hart Lane. What's it called now? Spurs Stadium, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Toilet bowl.
The toilet bowl, exactly right. That's what I was looking for. 1-0 winners over Man City. Who wants to lead their little review of this game? Tony, I'll let you go this time.
Okay, I was going to let Morty jump in because I'll save what he wants to say for him about the team lineup. I thought this was an interesting one. I don't know if there's injuries, if they haven't been training well, but I found it really strange when the lineup came out that Kevin De Bruyne wasn't starting. Whether they were taking that easy, who knows? I mean, we had a few reports coming out from, I like to call him Souness, about Pogba saying someone worth 100 million should be scoring or getting 4 assists every game. And then we had Grealish, who he maybe got 4 extra fouls for his 100 million.
And a dive.
In saying that, obviously not a result I expected. I thought it was over when we heard Harry Kane didn't show up. But then obviously for them to get the result, like we said earlier on our social media, do they need Harry Kane? Is the 120 million going to be worth putting it elsewhere and strengthening the team?
Even more now because they can afford to ask for more money because they know City need him. And I think it showed that opening 20 or so minutes, City looked really good. They just didn't have the end product. They had a couple of great chances. Mahrez had a really clear-cut chance that he put over the bar on the half volley. I think he should have done better. Jacques and Charlo had a good chance early on, 5 minutes in. But yeah, as it went on, Campo would say it, Spurs grew into the game. And as it went on, they grew in more and more. And then Heung-min Son opens the scoring 70th minute, was it? 55th minute. And yeah, the City just had nothing. They didn't have anything to go back for. I do find it funny that Gabriel Jesus is somehow a backup striker to a team that doesn't have a striker right now. So how he's not getting minutes is beyond me. And I think he needs to move probably to another league, because I just don't think he couldn't be happy at City. I couldn't imagine. Yes, you're winning league titles, but he's not seeing minutes. Aguero's gone. He's not seeing minutes. Morty, what was your thoughts on the game?
It's very odd seeing that team come out for their opening game. Like, they haven't won against Spurs in four or five matches now.
They haven't scored a goal.
Actually, it's probably longer than that. You include Champions Leagues and all that, because I know they've lost in that one too. But like, you're starting a 34-year-old, 35-year-old centre defensive mid when Rodri's on the bench. You're still starting Ake, who hasn't kept a clean sheet for you in how long, and just, again, no striker, and KDB on the bench when he's at a rest. Like,
yeah, I am baffled with KDB, because it's not as though he had a longer, time off than the likes of other players, because Jack Grealish played in the Euro final. You know what I mean? Like, so he's, Jack Grealish should probably not have been starting, but yeah, I'm not sure where Pep's head was at for this game, but he certainly got it wrong tactically, I think, and I think he does often overthink games.
Yeah,
he did in Champions League final, and yeah, this is becoming one of the bogey teams for Pep. I think it's four or five games now he's failed to score a goal at Tottenham Hotspur Toilet Bowl Stadium, and I think this is now Nuno Espirito Santos, has now got 3 wins in the trot against him, which I think is the most ever in the Premier League against Pep in a row. So he's starting to get found out a bit. There's starting to be teams that can work him out. Spurs, one of them. And as a coach, he's starting to have these managers who he fails to beat no matter what. He obviously, against Tuchel last year, couldn't beat him to save the life of him. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see, do they splash him on Harry Kane this week? How long do they give it? What happens? Because if they don't get Harry Kane, there could be a worry. But it happened last year as well. They started slow, and you saw how comfortable they got given the way the season went on. So, Tony, do you have anything to add for that?
No, obviously it would be.
One of you guys does want to mention the money thing. So decide between you.
I'll go ahead with it. Obviously, they did break the record for the most expensive starting lineup. In Australian dollars, it was over $1 billion, and that's with KDB and Stones sitting on the bench, which chuck another couple million on there. If they get Harry Kane, chuck another 100 million on top of that.
That's Laporte on the bench still, Walker on the bench. That's
Laporte,
Bernardo Silva on the bench.
On the bench.
I think it's coming to the point where he's got too many good players. We cannot fit them into a squad. Yes, they've got the depth. Don't get me wrong. When they go to Champions League, they're going to be laughing when they're going to play 2-3 games a week. But when there's one game a week, players are going to start getting pissed off. And Gabriel Jesus will be the first one that's probably going to go, I want out.
Yeah, most definitely. And yes, he doesn't see as many minutes, but at the end of the day, he is a striker, and they have a striker on their bench in their squad. And when Kane's not playing, if he goes there, or if he's not, doesn't go there at all, they need to be giving Jesus minutes. So they can't afford to lose him in the end. But yeah, as you said, that most expensive squad in history, starting lineup-wise, and to produce a game like that, pretty average results. But we'll give them the Arsenal treatment here and say it's one game only. We'll give them the night off.
Just on that though, is it like we're starting to see a trend of City losing these like arguably big games? Like they lost a lot of the finals, and yes, they can do it over a season because they've got the $1 billion squad. But is it showing that they need to be sticking to maybe 4 of the front 3 up top and just rotating those 3 through, or because a lot of the other teams managed to work it out well. They've got 9 attackers and they can't seem to get it right.
Yeah, well, like you say there, they can get it done for a season. They go on these massive spells. Well, how many games was it last year? They won in a row, 20 something in all comps.
Yeah.
Wins, like not even straws, complete wins. And then they come into they get to a Champions League final and they don't have it.
Yeah.
They can't even win the Community Shield right now. They get to a game against Spurs, they can't do it. So yes, they can win league titles, and like I'd love to win. Obviously, I'd love Chelsea to win the league title, but City is after that Champions League. So
And
this is probably another. Well, this is obviously another good year for them to do it, but now you've got PSG fighting in the mix again. So yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how they go without or with a Hurricane. But yeah, that's going to wrap up the games. We're going to quickly mention the other player of the week. So obviously I had Pogba. Tony went with Bruno Fernandes. Morty, who did you go with? And I'll let you read off.
I had Salah on there, 2 assists, 1 goal. Just quality of all-round performance from him.
Classic opening day.
With Campos.
Campo went with David Raya, was it, I believe, the Brentford keeper. And he did have praise to say about him. He basically won that game for him, he reckons. He had a couple good saves. I know the one on Pepe, I think it was quite late in the game. Shot. And yeah, really impressive game for him. And if he turns out to be, Dean Henderson that was at Sheffield United, could be a good season for him. As I said, they like to grind out results. They like to get these 1-2-0 wins and just play that simple, basic football, and it works. So anyway, we're going to wrap up our review. We've got our preview coming at you later in the week, I believe, Matchday 2, so that'll be another exciting round. But yeah, I've been your host, Aaron. Thanks for having me, Tony and Morty, and we'll see you again soon.
See you later, guys.